What's up guys, welcome back to another lesson. Marco here. Today we're going to talk about chord progressions and I'm going to show you how you can transform and play the same chord progression in 10 different ways. Now if you have been playing for a while and you want to know how to transform the chords, this is definitely a good lesson for you. However, we're only going to have a look at one chord progression. So we're going to have a look at a chord progression in B minor, played with 4 chords, and then we're going to transform these 4 chords in different ways. Now guys, when I post this type of videos, I do receive a lot of comments from you asking, how do I do that? What's the process of taking one chord progression and then play it in 10 different ways? It comes down to a lot of different things. Definitely music theory, you gotta know your scales, you gotta know your chords, you gotta know what's going on within a key and all the extensions that you can add to the chords. It comes down to experience. The more you play, the more you practice, the more you listen to other people playing, the more you will be able to expand your vocabulary and add more chords to your playing. And also technique. You know, you want to develop the technique necessary to play the chords that you want to play. Now, technique doesn't mean that you have to become a virtuoso. You just have to develop enough technique that allows you to play the chords and the music style that you really want to play. So we're going to take it step by step. You can get the tab for everything that I play in this lesson. Check my Patreon page and subscribe to this channel if you want to keep up with all the upcoming lessons. Now, let's have a close up and let's get started. Now guys, the chord progression we're checking out today is B minor, A major, and the G major. Very simple chord progression. At some point we're going to throw in an F sharp major chord depending on which style of music we are playing. But mainly we're going to focus on 3 chords, B minor, A, and G. So the very first step that I really like to take when I play a chord progression is to make things simple. And so you could play the chord progression with just 2 notes, for example. This is very simple. So I just simplified the whole thing rather than just play the full chord. I only focus on plucking 2 strings. Now this is a very simple approach, and because it's so simple, it's also easy to add a very simple melody around the chords because, you know, we're just playing a very simple chord. So we could add a few notes like this. That's it. Obviously you can develop more, but this is just an example of how you can, just play a very simple chord progression with just 2 notes. Now, as we become better at playing these chords, we can add, for example, extensions to the chord. Some of my favorite, the Add9 chords. So I'm just playing a B Add9, B minor Add9, A Add9, and G Add9. Beautiful sounding chords. Now another beautiful extension, the Add11. In this case, I am playing a B Add11, beautiful chord, just 2, 4, 3, and open. And then the A, beautiful sounding chord, open, 6, 3, and open. And then the G will have a sharp 11. We play G major, and then on the B string fret 2 with the C sharp, which is the sharp 11, fret number 3. We can do the same when we change position. Now, we change the voicing of this, so you have open, 6, 3, and 7, and then G major, which is 5, 7, open 7. and then the sharp 11 on the G string fret number 6. So extended chords, definitely one of my favorite ways of transform chords. Now we could also take a more jazzy approach and play more minor 7 and dominant chords. In this case we can also add the F sharp chord. For example, we could play like this. So I'm playing a B minor 7, which is 7 7 7 7, an A 13 chord, beautiful sounding chord. So it's open 5 6 7, or you could play the 6th string fret number 5. So rather than play the A string open, you play it on the low E string fret 5, and G major 7, which is 6 4 4 3. Then you add some rhythm to it. Just changing voicing. B minor 9, A dominant. And in this case I can also add the F sharp dominant 7 sharp 9, which is from the A string fret number 9 8 9 and 10, and then 9 8 9 8. Beautiful chord progression, definitely different style, but one of the approaches that I like a lot. Now we can also keep things very simple, so we're going from jazzy chords to very basic strumming, for example. So you don't necessarily have to, play difficult stuff. Can you see with the strumming and a few, add 11 chords and add 9 chords, you can still play the chord progression in a beautiful way and very simple. Now, one of the ways of playing these chords that I like a lot is to play what I call the small chords. So for example, so the cool thing about playing small chords like this is the fact that we can easily add a melody. So I'm playing just a B minor, which is 9, 11 and 10, A major, which is 7, 9, 9 and 5, 7, 7. Then you can play around with the melody on one string, the top E string. And then the G sharp 11 we learned earlier. So you can combine different things as well, but small chords, I really love them. Now we can also play the pentatonic and kind of improvise around with it a little bit. And what I mean by that is we could add a melody or scale. For example, you could play one chord and then play the pentatonic scale, the B minor pentatonic scale. Which is kind of more noodling around with the scale. And the pentatonic scale is really a cool way to add a melody or a solo between the chords, as long as you stick with the structure. But you could also do it, for example, with the minor scale, and so things get a little bit more interesting when you also play the, for example, the B natural minor scale. So So you see the point here, I'm using just the scale in one position, and just 3 strings, 2, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5. And I can just, play one chord and then come up with an idea. So the minor scale, natural minor scale, kind of gives you more, melodic ideas than the pentatonic. Now, the last example, obviously, you want to try to add, more elements together. And so we could really develop and play something like this. So I'm kind of combining different elements, chords, extended chords, the scale, and different ways of, picking the chords.